All right. So you talked about you talked about your own writing, for these magazines. I mean, you've talked about you've interviewed Jesmyn Ward, as good as it gets, and Jamel Brinkley. I know he came out with a great collection. I think yours was a
Mm.
while back, maybe not so recently, but
Yeah, that interview, yeah, it came out when he released his book, so that had to be 2019,
sounds
right?
about
2000,
right.
yeah,
George
around
Saunders,
there.
George Saunders, I think.
Yeah, did George Saunders
Oh
again, like
man,
just being just being a guy who's willing to email people and
yes.
pitch things. And I think now, um, and rightfully so, that author interviews are done by other authors and it's more of like an in conversation, but
Hmm.
as opposed to like other media, right, where there's
Yeah,
journalists interviewing actors. But yeah, to be that guy who just says like, I am here to do it, let's see if it happens.
right.
Yeah,
And he seems to be like a legitimately just decent guy,
George, yeah,
down to earth.
for a long time, even before I was like podcasting and writing, I do trust the blurb. I know like there's a political game involved in that, but if I saw a George Saunders blurb, I usually picked it up, and usually they were his students at Syracuse, like Nana Kwame
Um,
Adjei-Brenyah, Friday Black. I originally picked up because of a blurb from him,
yeah,
and like and Nana is one of my favorite. Nana Kwame is one of my favorite writers. Yeah.
there's there's another one thrown in the ether. I'd love to talk to him about Prison Gang All Stars or anything.
Yeah.
Shoot. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, in your writing, was it? I don't know how you pronounce it. BB Zahara, RuPaul's Drag Race,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Interviewed some drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race. And that just goes down to I'm willing to, yeah, say hello. I want to do this, and I'll find an outlet. Sometimes the outlets have backed out, and I've had to
Mhm.
publish them on my own blog,
Yeah,
which happens. But yeah,
yeah.
Trixie Mattel from RuPaul's Drag Race, Bibi Zahara Benet. Yeah,
Um,
I just have a wide range of interests, and I'm willing to talk to anyone who wants to talk to me or who will
that's
talk to me.
awesome.
Yeah.
Have you seen a market decrease in like the compensation from magazines, like even the last 6 7 years, or has it kind of been steady?
Um, For me, yeah, yeah, I guess relatively steady, some increase. I don't really freelance anymore since Day Beautiful started, so it's been a decrease to my pocket because no one
Right.
else is paying me. Um, but yeah, I was never writing for like NPR or like, the bigger
Yeah,
publications. I was writing for like niche literary outlets that paid maybe $20 at the time, or maybe 100, or
sure.
somewhere in between. But the people who freelance full time, I bless them because it's hard. It's a hustle.
Hmm.
Like you and I are hustling differently for our own like DIY indie podcast.
Hmm.
But for these people to do it and rely on the paycheck is
Yeah.
wild to me.
I've heard those W-4, those W-2s or whatever, and those taxes are pretty nasty with all the
Yeah.
this and
Yeah.
that over here.
Yeah.
Man. So, even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar possibly?
Oh yeah. I interviewed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he wrote a Sherlock Holmes book. That was done via email though. It wasn't as
Okay.
sexy. But
Okay.
as a basketball fan, and he's a top five for me,
Huh.
um, that was pretty amazing to do. Yeah.
All right. So you talked down on LeBron a little bit. You mentioned Kareem. Do you have a number one or number two? Who's your best of all time?
Oh, top two favorite basketball players of all time really say a lot about me. One, Charles Barkley, the round mound rebounds.
Okay.
And number two, Dennis Rodman. When I played
Yeah.
basketball in high school, I did not care about scoring points. I cared about rebounding and setting screens. And those are my
Yeah.
boys.
Yeah.
They were my, yeah.
People today don't. I mean, kids don't know. They see Barkley on the TNT show. Like he
Hmm.
was a bad dude.
Yeah, he was
He was
athletic.
a
Like
bad dude.
he wasn't a
Oh my
fat
God.
guy. Yeah.
He got up and
No,
down
he
the
was,
court, man.
yeah.
Man. And then how
Yeah.
about, I don't know, my Icelandic or Dutch or my North European pronunciation, Sejan, one of the collaborators with Bjork.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's Stone. I think you don't pronounce. I don't
Bjork.
know. Maybe, but
Okay.
that was wild. I was living in Phoenix, and I had to do it at a pretty weird time. And I remember I had a like my apartment. Something was going on. I couldn't do it at the office job I had, so I like went to the public library in Phoenix, and their internet was down. I was like, someone needs to give me a hotspot like right now. Like my,
Do you know who I'm talking to right now?
yes,
Do you
yeah.
know
It's
the
it's funny. Like you bring it up, and like yeah, it's like embarrassing on my part that I can't remember some of these until someone says
Oh, that's a good
something.
it's a good problem and
I
quotes to
guess
have,
it's a
right?
blessing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to like some of these really like eccentric, like I don't know much about Bjork. I'd love to talk to Bjork, like the
Yeah,
songwriters, the lyricists, like just eccentric as hell. Like I don't know, Tori Amos, maybe not as eccentric, but a big fan of hers.
yeah.
You know.
I think like you asked like who I would love to interview. My my favorite album of all time is Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette.
Oh my God, so
Um,
good.
and I had interviewed Diablo Cody, and
Mm,
I'm gonna have to pause. If you can
sure.
edit this out, this would be
Sure,
super.
sure.
Let me look this up because I should. So I'll restart that answer at
Oh, it's all
some
good.
point for you.
Good.
I want to know this guy's name. I think it's Mike Chen. Eric Smith. I was way off. Hopefully that's all edited out. So I had interviewed Diablo Cody and the writer Eric Smith, who did an
Oh
adaptation
yeah.
of the musical, like a book YA adaptation. So that's the closest I got to Alanis Morissette.
Um,
But that's a big get for me. I love the 90s in general. I think
yeah.
the nostalgia is getting me. But yeah, definitely Alanis Morissette would be my big get for Deep Beautiful if I could make that happen somehow.
I've been listening more to the like, today's hits, yesterday's favorites in
Uh,
Sacramento. Shout out 96.1. And man, I forgot Alanis had more than just You Ought to Know. Like that album was stacked.
yeah, dude, that album had like 5 singles off of it, which
Yeah.
is completely unheard of, other than like Taylor Swift and The Weeknd right now,
Huh.
right? Like, I mean, ABBA had 5 hits off an album in the 70s.
Yeah.
But Alanis Morissette, yeah, five singles when singles mattered and like made
When
money
singles
and like
mattered.
had music
Exactly.
videos. Yeah.
Exactly. And the bane of every English teacher's existence with her, fake irony,
Ironic.
but isn't that
Yeah.
ironic? But that's all right. I'm a
Yeah.
you know, I'm a huge Tupac fan, and I was listening to one of his last interviews, and he
Uh-huh.
randomly was talking about like he and Alanis Morissette had all these like business partnerships going at the time. I was like,
That
okay,
doesn't surprise me. That's yeah, they were
like
two of like the
all right.
biggest names at the time when
They
he
really were
died.
though.
Yeah.
With all the
Yeah.
writing, with all the incredible people you've talked to, and then talked to for writing and talked to for the podcast, there's no itch for you to like get into writing like fiction and not your book, short stories.
I think if I ever write in earnest and try to, I would probably, and I have like some things in the work. So I guess I lied earlier when I say I'm
You lie?
not
Why'd
like
you lie? Why
writing.
did you
Yeah,
lie?
because that's not, we'll see. I don't know. But I think I would want to write the next like Babysitters Club or Animorphs, like
Yes.
those like formulaic 50 book series
Mhm.
about the same characters. And that just goes back to when I was a kid, and I talked about reading Mary Higgins Clark because of my mom, but like those were really the books that like got me through like the
Yeah.
grades and everything.
Yeah.
um so yeah, I don't think literary fiction or thriller or romance or adults anything is in my future. um
Who
yeah,
knows
we'll
though?
see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no itch currently other than I want to be the next Babysitters Club.
Yes, that's a good goal. Claudia Kishi comes to mind. Who was like the kind of like the head of the group, if you will, the
Oh,
alpha?
Chrissy was,
Chrissy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say this for anyone listening, if you're like, I have kids and I want to watch something with them, the Netflix had a 2-season Babysitters Club show that made me cry. I watched it by myself.
Okay.
Nobody,
Wholesome.
it's the most beautiful thing.
Oh,
I think they got being a preteen right. And I think that's like the most important time in
good
anyone's
to
know.
know.
So yeah, if you have
Oh,
kids, perfect. Babysitters Club on Netflix.
awesome.
Unjustly canceled.
Oh no. Well, let's get that petition going, right?
Trust me.
Man, man, man. So, I mean, you talked a lot about it, but and they kind of come down the tube as they may. But any ideas of like future projects? Feel like you can kind of stay with the formula for now, and like I said, I get it. Like sometimes there's an end date in mind, or it comes when it comes. But any ideas of like kind of different ways you'd like to take the podcast, or do you feel? I mean, you're doing great with it as it is. Kind of
Yeah,
same old.
thank you. I think the twice a month interview will continue. The first taste reading series, which comes out roughly every Monday,
Sure.
will be retooled a little bit and be just the 5-minute reading and
Mhm.
not have an interview after. So it's just snippet. You can get
Mhm.
in, you can get out.
Mhm.
That's more selfish on my part because I am prepping for those and reading those and need
Yeah, yeah,
more
yeah.
time. Um, But I mean, the long-term goal, the big project for Adam in the literary world is a bookstore. And I've been saying by the time I'm 45, so I have 11 years to figure it out.
Okay.
But that depends on a lot. I don't think I'll be in Denver long term. I have to find a new community, a new city. But in the meantime, there's plenty of other great bookstores. I will give a shout out. Leah Johnson, the young adult middle grade writer, just opened up a bookstore in Indianapolis called Loudmouth, which is like focusing on banned books, books by writers of color. So there's always great bookstores people can find, and that's just the one I'll shout out right now. But that's the long-term goal for Adam.
Nice. So Beautiful is the word debut with that T, of course. Spell it for us. Tell us about social media, where to find you online.
Yeah, debeautiful.net. So DEBUTIFUL, debeautiful.net, and then at debeautiful on, it's Instagram and Twitter is what I use. Facebook is there if you're into Facebook. I don't TikTok because I don't
understand. The great advertisement.
It.
Facebook is there.
Yeah, and I do think we talked about how Zoom saved the book industry. If Twitter doesn't, or X or whatever, doesn't get their act together, I think a lot of authors are going to be hurting. As big of a hellscape as it is, it's the promotional tool. I get more clicks on, not retweets or likes, but click-throughs for the podcast than anything. So
definitely. So you said you're also on TikTok.
No TikTok.
Okay.
I don't understand it. I'm too creaky and old. I can't figure it out.
Same. Well, man, it was awesome talking. I hope, hoping IRL, we can get together one of these days, have a drink, maybe one of these panels or one of these festivals or something like that. But awesome work. It's really cool to listen to your stuff. It's cool that you have them read, so we get that, and then have them, talk about the process. And it makes a lot of sense that you'd have people calling in or letting you know, like, hey, I love the craft stuff, because there's a lot of cool stuff there, as well as just some fun, chatting and jokes and double entendres.
Yeah, it's been fun. Day Beautiful has been fun. This has been fun. Thanks for talking to me. Thanks for letting me ramble. I usually don't. I'm not on this side of the mic ever, so I really appreciated it.
Right? Such a pleasure talking to you today. Thanks so much, and good luck with the rest of your work.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on the pod, and good luck with everything. Can't wait to see when you get Alexander Chi. Yes, that'll be the most epic. I can't wait. Hey, putting it out there in the universe.
If you get it first or I get it first, maybe one of us can be the little, Zoom bubble in the corner or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Lurking. Thanks so much.
Well, cheers. Yeah.
You can now subscribe to the Chills at Will podcast on Apple and leave a 5-star review while you're checking out Day Beautiful as well. You can also ask for it by name using Alexa, find it on Stitcher, Spotify, and on Amazon Music. Follow me on Instagram, where I'm at Chills at Will Podcast, or on Twitter, where I'm at Chills at Will PO1, the digit 1. You can watch this and other episodes on YouTube. That's the Chills at Will Podcast channel. Sign up now for the Chills at Will Podcast Patreon. It can be found at patreon.com/Chills at Will Podcast Peter Real. Last name is spelled RIEHL. Check out the page that describes the benefits of a Patreon membership, including cool swag and bonus episodes. Thanks in advance for supporting my one-man show, my DIY podcast, and my extensive reading, research, editing, and promoting to keep this independent podcast pumping out high-quality content. The intro song for the Chills at Will podcast is Wind Down Instrumental, and the other song played on the episode is Hoops Instrumental by Matt Weidauer, and both songs are used through archesaudio.com. Please tune in for episode 201 with Erica Berry, a writer and teacher based in her hometown of Portland, Oregon. Her essays appear in The Guardian, Wired, Outside, The Atlantic, Guernica, and others. Winner of the Steinberg Essay Prize and Kurt Brown Prize in Nonfiction, her book Wolfish came out in February 2023 to great acclaim, and that episode will air on August 29th. For now, thanks again for listening. I hope that these uncertain days bring you texts and podcasts by writers and podcasters with mad skills, like Adam Vitcavage, whose work, like Day Beautiful, Discover Debut Authors, gives you chills at will.